What's up, everybody? Time for episode 2 of Horror Trip. As you may remember, it is my goal to play through every horror game ever made according to the Wikipedia list of horror games. Be known if anybody has a better list that I can look at for information, then let me know. But we are going to continue according to that list. So I figured for this month, we are going to dive into a special series, a series that is partially near and dear to my heart. I say partially because the first game I really enjoyed, the second game not as much. So let's dive into it. For this episode, we are going to go over Condemned Criminal Origins. This released in, I want to say, let me bring up the information again, 2006? 2005. I feel like the 360... No, it did, because it came out in December 2005. So, Condemned Criminal Origins came out in 2005 on the Xbox 360 and computer, Windows specifically. This was an early Xbox 360 title because that came out in November. This came out in December. This is by Monolith. Now, if you maybe remember, Monolith is the team between Fear 1 and 2, but more... what's the word I'm looking for? More to the present, which is not at all the words I was looking for, but, we're going to go with it. More to the present, they have done the Middle-earth Shadow series, so Shadow of Mordor and Shadow of War. They also did Guardians Middle-earth, which I did not know about. I enjoyed that game. I wasn't good at it, though. So, what Condemned Criminal Origins is... Oh, also, it was published by Sega, which was a strange one, but I'm okay with it. So, what Condemned Criminal Origins is... It is a first-person game. I'm not going to say shooter. There are guns, but it's mainly melee combat. But the whole idea is you are a cop who gets framed for the murder of another cop. So you're essentially going through the seedy underbelly of this criminal world, but it's a lot darker than it really sounds. There's a lot more at play, which it goes into more in the second game, but not talk about that right now. Condemned Criminal Origins really opened my eyes. It was one of the first... It's not the first horror game I played, but it's one of the first ones I played, which made me realize I love this kind of stuff. So, one of the things that you can do in it is kind of like detective-style work. So you're going to use a couple of your devices to take pictures of fingerprints or blood splatters or stuff like that, and use them to try and help you catch the person who killed this other cop and get a little more into what happened here. The big notable thing about this game is it has a real emphasis on melee combat, whether it be picking up a pipe, a fire axe, a 2x4, anything like that. And you can block, but the big thing is if you hit the block button, he blocks for like a second, so you have to time block, so you can't just hold blocking, so you have to time it. Block, and then, it staggers them. That's when you go in for a hit, or you can just go in for a hit, or whatever. There are the occasional guns, but ammo is much more scarce, and it terrified me. I've played through this game so many times. There are two parts in it that, one still freaks me out. I'm not gonna... It's not really a spoiler, but later in the game, there are all these mannequins in this room you walk into, and there's a hole, and it's just black, so, you can't see, fear of the dark. You turn around, and the mannequins are blocking the entrance now. So you get closer to the hole, or whatever, turn around, and the mannequins have gotten even closer, and they essentially surround you until you can't move unless you jump into the hole. It's really freaky. There's another part where... I've played through this so many times, it gets me every time. You open a locker and a person falls out. And just the way it's done, it gets me. This game is really special to me and is honestly, in my opinion, one of the biggest reasons to own an Xbox. And this game is 14 years old now. Jesus, this game is 14 years old. It didn't hit me until I said it. Wow. Let me, let me read you the quote from the back of the box. The hunt for a serial killer has never been so terrifyingly real. A cunning and ruthless killer is taunting authorities with a series of grisly murders. As FBI agent, it's FBI, not cop. As FBI agent Ethan Thomas, your investigation will pit you against the most violent side of humanity as you unravel clues left by the killer. Stay alive using any weapon you can, from firearms to lead pipes to whatever you can pry from the fully interactive environment. Unprecedented high-definition graphics and meticulously crafted 5.1 surround sound plunge you into a world of violent crime. Use sophisticated forensic tools to investigate crime scenes and uncover evidence in this intense, one-of-a-kind psychological thriller. This game is... I think it still holds up today, honestly. The graphics aren't anywhere near as good, but I think the game itself still holds up. I absolutely love it, and I cannot recommend it enough. So that is it for today's episode of Horror Trip Condemned Criminal Origins. Next episode, we will dive into its not-as-good sequel, Condemned to Bloodshot. Until then, thanks guys, and get spooky.